Speaking of Xiaomi, the Chinese smartphone maker is seeking a valuation of at least $50 billion in an IPO. According to people familiar with the matter, Xiaomi is considering going public as soon as next year. Banks have suggested Hong Kong as the most likely place for shares to be listed. So why is the startup looking at a public offering? Joining us now, Bloomberg's Selena Wang here in the studio. What do you make of it?
So it's a good time for them to IPO. They're finally regaining momentum after a really rough last year where they dropped to number 5 in their local market.
Why did that happen?
So Oppo and Vivo, these are the newcomers. They really capitalized on the rural areas of China where there wasn't a lot of penetration. And the rest of the China has really saturated in smartphone penetration. So that's what they took advantage of. Now, this is a great time for Xiaomi because now they're finally seeing a turnaround. And Lei Jun is really trying to change the strategy of the company. They're investing very heavily in offline retail and this new retail strategy, as well as international expansion. So they want to get those billions of dollars that they'll raise from the IPO to accelerate expansion in emerging markets, especially India, which they plan on doubling down in, as well as other emerging markets, and Spain recently.
So Xiaomi's IPO has been reportedly coming for some time. It's always a question that we ask the executives when we talk to them. Do we know if they had some false starts? Do we know if they expected to go sooner? And why now?
Now is a good time, as I said earlier, because this is when they have the momentum, they have the excitement of the investment community while sales are growing rapidly still. That being said, there's going to be a lot of investor skepticism. Now, this is a company that sells their products at razor-thin margins. They do that in hopes of getting the rest of their revenue from, rest of their profits from their software ecosystem. And they've created all of these new products from a smart rice cooker, smart scooters, fitness bands, to create this ecosystem, but they haven't yet created the same thing that an Apple or Google has. There isn't a reason for users to keep on coming back to Xiaomi and be really staying loyal to that brand. So they still have to prove out that strategy at the same time that they're running against these razor-thin margins without a lot of room to keep on expanding there.
And also, they're trying to expand globally. What is the latest on their global expansion plans?
So India, they just reached $1 billion in Indian revenue last year, and they want to double down investment there. Other emerging markets they're looking at are Indonesia, Russia. They recently launched in Spain. So they have a pretty interesting global expansion strategy. When they look at markets, they want to see where they already have Xiaomi fan bases. Now, this is a company that grew very rapidly through word-of-mouth marketing, through social media marketing. So they saw in Spain, we already have a huge social media fan community. Why not expand there? And in a lot of these local markets, they'll find local e-commerce partners to work with. So for instance, when in China, they not only have their own Xiaomi website, but they also work with Alibaba as well as JD.com to sell. And in India, they are also working with local partners like Flipkart and Amazon so that they have multiple ways for consumers to buy their goods.